What's up, military millionaires? Today's episode is going to be a lot of fun. This is my friend Vince Gethings from Hawaii, and he and I have been investing about the same amount of time, and we met in Hawaii when we were both pretty new investors, and I remember telling him that he was going to be very successful because he was very systematic, and now he's got over 200 units. I've had him on the show before with his team, Tricity Equity, but I wanted to bring him back on his own so that he and I could chat, because he's very deep into personal finance and also personal development, and he has some really cool ways to make the property value on commercial properties go up in value, and he's done a very good job. And so this is just a fun interview where we're kind of reminiscing while also talking personal finance, personal development, and goals for young service members, as well as how to make multifamilies go up in value very quickly. So lots of fun, lots of value, and I hope you enjoy this because Vince is just an awesome dude.
Welcome to the Military Millionaire Podcast, where we teach service members, veterans, and their families how to build wealth through personal finance, entrepreneurship, and real estate investing. I'm your host, David Pere, and together with my co-host, Alex Felice, we're here to be your no BS guides along the most important mission you'll ever embark on: your finances.
Vehicle 1, you're clear to depart friendly lines.
Roger, Vic 1, Oscar Mike.
What's up, military millionaires? I am your host, Dave Pere, and I'm here with Vince Gethings, my friend from Hawaii. You have seen him on the show before, but we're going to do a solo episode today where we're really just going to kind of talk about life and personal development and what's going on for us, because we're in somewhat similar situations where we're both exiting the military in the next year to go kind of looking reserves, looking SkillBridge, looking at some options. And a lot of that's due to real estate, or most of that, or all of that. Yeah. So Vince and I got to know each other in Hawaii, and we'd hang out there a decent amount. And I always remember thinking that Vince was smart and systematic and more systematic than I was, and would be successful. And so it's really cool to see that that's exactly what's happening. And so I thought it'd be fun to bring him on the show. We're going to talk some personal development today and what real estate's allowed us to be able to do, and some of the cool stuff he's got going on in the future. So Vince, for those of you who may not have heard your full story before, you want to just kind of run through a little bit about you?
Yep. Thanks for having me on, David. So me, active duty Air Force, 15 years next month in. Doesn't seem like that, but about 15 years in, and I'm doing the unthinkable, especially for an airman, is getting out at 15 years when you're so close to that 20-year mark.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's pretty much unthinkable in the Air Force to do something like that. But it's what's right for me. It's what's right for my family, and the Air Force, I think, as well. And maybe we'll dive into that. But so I've always been in like financially savvy, I guess. Always had great saving techniques. Was pretty frugal as an airman. So I always had high savings rate, things like that. I always dumped a bunch of money into TSP. And then you get a little bit older, you develop things like stocks, start getting into like value investing, things like that. Day trading, swing trading, and then long-term holds, then get into ETFs. And as you know, when you get deployed or TDY, that's usually the preferred method for investing for military people, because it's accessible and it's easy and it's kind of fun, especially swing trading, day trading. Did that for a few years. I think I got okay. I got dangerous at it a little bit. Then I got burned a couple times. And then once I realized why I got burned, I realized it was how much little control people have when they're dealing with paper or dealing with Wall Street. And it doesn't matter how much homework you do. It doesn't matter how much, research you do. You literally have no control in terms of what a company actually does, what a CEO or CFO or whatever the board of a company actually does. So at that point, and that was around 2014, somewhere around there, I was just having that epiphany and realizing I needed an alternative vehicle to keep going with my investing, my portfolio. Started getting into real estate, did the whole Rich Dad Poor Dad thing, did the whole Bigger Pockets thing, read all Brandon Turner's books. You can kind of see them over my head, all that. Sold at the same time, right around this 2014, I was coming out of a BRRRR. So I VA house hacked my first house in the Bay Area, California. Walked away with a check, tax-free, $130,000. And again, right there, I had the powder keg full and went in full into real estate. Bought 20 units in 18 months, all small multifamilies, because that's all I knew. So duplexes, quads, and things like that. Liquidated all my brokerage accounts and took every cent I had out of the stock market and went full into real estate. Then I hit a wall, both mentally and capitally. Is that a word? Capitally?
Yeah.
I ran out of money and ran out of bandwidth at the same time. That was around October 2018-ish. And I knew, and I was seeing these guys like, these other rock stars similar to my age, just absolutely crushing it and not slowing down. So I knew there was something I was missing in my commercial real estate education. So I was smart enough to realize I didn't know everything and that other people did. So I went out and opened the books again after kind of just working for 18 months. Found out that there's a whole nother world of large multifamily that opened a lot more doors, and got into after looking at a couple of those coaching groups, mentor groups, picked one, and that was again fall of 2018. I made the absolute right choice, and the group I wanted to go with went through their mastermind, their education, everything like that. By January of 2019, we were under contract. My newly formed group was under contract on a 52 unit. So I went from, it took me 18 months to get to 20 units. And then I went to 70 units in 6 months after joining a higher level group, got around a new circle that forced me to grow and forced me to, educate myself and think bigger. Closed that 52 unit, managed that one. About a year later, we got a 48 unit that we closed in the middle of COVID. So April 15, 2020, we closed the 48 unit, our first syndication. And that is absolutely crushing it. Like we were talking before the show, we're already in year 2 of the pro forma that we are of our business plan when we're executing that. So absolutely crushing that deal. And now we have 3 deals going at the same time. We have a 22 unit, a 62 unit, and a 72 unit that we all hope to close before the end of year. So absolute exponential growth these last 2 years. And it looks like we're going to continue on that trajectory and, keep the momentum up as we, transition out of the military.
Yeah, it's exciting. And man, what a crazy journey it's been. I remember talking to you when you first took the dive into, I'll say it, Jake and Gino's coaching program. And I remember we talked about it, right when you were going in, and it was like, oh yeah, that's cool. I don't know that I ever fully anticipated how cool it was for you. Like I knew you've always been up to big things, but talk to me a little bit about maybe not necessarily their coaching program, but just in general, like what were some of the things that you think helped you the most about getting into a coaching program? Like, was it the instruction? Was it the people? Was it like, it's a combination? Like, what was it that made that so explosive for you?
Well, first the instruction. So the education was really top notch. I don't know about the other ones because I haven't done them, but the education platform there was absolutely world class. Definitely gave everything I needed to do to scale and miss a whole lot of potholes and mistakes that I probably would have made. So that was great. But then now, once you get through the curriculum, usually like 4 to 6 months in, that's where like the group. So you have like your coaches and the mastermind groups and just the community in general. That's where that really starts to bolstering you up to give you that energy and give you that circle to just bounce ideas off of and find partnerships, find deals, just solve problems throughout within the community. And that's is absolutely fundamental to our latest round of success here is the actual just community itself, not so much the education bit, but the ongoing support of the community.
Yeah. Being able to ask a question, and because the reality is like all the education in the world isn't going to cover every circumstance, but if you're around enough people somebody's seen that problem before and already been through it. And so if you can crowdsource ideas like that, it's like what
you can also get like perspective. Say I got a problem with, XYZ issue, right? You're going to get 20 different perspectives from operators or investors that have seen similar issues, and you can see how they handled it. So you're not just going to get like one, like this is the only way type thing. It's going to be, very high level people giving you their perspective of how they would have handled that. So you can sit there, digest it, and figure out what the best course of action, but you're getting absolute gold as far as, knowledge and insight from people that are just absolutely crushing it in their own businesses.
Yeah. And that's powerful about any group for sure, is being able to crowdsource, because sometimes like the idea might be right in front of your face and you just like, it fundamentally, you just don't you don't think about it, or something's prime example. Last time we were on a call, I don't remember if it was when we did your podcast or my podcast, but we were talking about my 10 unit, the expenses, right? And you mentioned something about water filters. And I was like, hang on, wait, what? Like you basically saved me $50 to $100 a month on my 10 unit over the last 5 months or however long that's been, because I tweaked the filters in the bathrooms and kitchen sink. And there was one other thing that I've been debating doing anyway for a little while. And it was like, I know all about cutting expenses. I never thought about the little plug on the freaking spout from a faucet being something that you could tweak. It was like $3 a piece or something like, I can't remember the numbers, but it cost me like $200 or $300 to get it all installed. And it saved me more than that in the first like 4 months. And so I was like, man, little things like this that, simple concepts, but just something I've never even thought about, tweaking that little filter piece. And yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like that all the time. Like just those little things that just keep adding up over time. Just from being around a group that's just completely immersed in this industry. You can't even like put a price on that, just because it adds up so much. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're planning to get out. You're looking to do SkillBridge, which I actually have a video coming out, I think like next week.
Good. I need it.
Yeah. 26th of October. Oh, tomorrow. So tomorrow, if you're listening to this in a month, sorry, but yeah, video where I basically wrote a blog post about SkillBridge and talking through the program, because that's what I'm looking to do, and like how to find one, how to vet somebody who the fact that you can do it with people who aren't on the approved list of SkillBridge employers. Although I'm currently trying to get myself approved to be a SkillBridge employer so I can have an intern or two come work with me. Because let's face it, my systems suck. They're not that bad. I'm too in my business. But anyway, so SkillBridge is a phenomenal opportunity. And I'd love to chat with you about like some of the things that, like what made you lean into that idea? I don't know why enough people don't take advantage of this. So you want to just touch real quickly on what SkillBridge is and why you're looking to do it, so that those of us listening can hear it from someone else besides just me?
Okay. Yeah. SkillBridge is an absolute phenomenal tool. I think most people they just don't know about it. Like when I went to TAP, or I don't remember, you mentioned your transition program. Yeah. Like it was like a slide, like a one slide thing, and they just like blew past it. So a lot of people don't really know about this program, but yeah, what it is you can pick a company and you can intern or apprentice with them for up to 6 months, CO approval, and you leave your primary duty of whatever you're doing, and you go and learn the skills. And a lot of it's meant to be trying to figure out what skills and experiences you have from your active duty service, transition, like trying to find those pieces and how those skills that you have and those abilities you have transition to a civilian career field, but more of a soft landing. Like you're not just like your paycheck stops tomorrow, and they push you out the nest and like, go figure it out type of thing. So you get out, you leave your primary duty and you go work with this company and you can work on those skills and build up whatever your new civilian career is going to be before you actually like cut the cord with the military. So it's like a very much whatever you want to call it, a parachute or something like that, a soft landing into civilian. So I think it's an absolute phenomenal program. Just in the last year alone, I've seen a lot more applications in last year than I've had in my whole career. So it's definitely, the word's getting out slowly. And I think it's an awesome benefit for us.
Yeah, 100%. And it's cool because it doesn't, like, SkillBridge has a lot of cool opportunities in the program, like listed. Like they've got you can go do an internship with Microsoft, you can do an internship with a couple different companies, but you can even be the White House has a spot. It's like you work with like customer relations or something like that in like the press room of the White House. Like pretty cool. So there's a lot of different opportunities out there, but the cool thing is people look at that list and they might not see anything they want, but you can go and work for somebody else. You don't have to just work for one of those companies. And so, maybe you want to go work with a real estate team in your market to see if you want to be an agent. Well, you can go intern with a brokerage. And while you're there, you get, paid by the military still. You're still full-time, you're still full military benefits. But you're going to get access to, taking your exam to see if that's something you want to do. You get that experience. Maybe you love it. And then you've got 6 months of runway to become a great agent, or maybe you hate it, but you got your license and you still got paid by the military. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Just think of how much stress that relieves off a service member and their family, like as they're coming down to that separation date. And then they're like, I got to figure out what I'm going to do the next chapter of my life. And, my lifeline's about to get cut and I got to figure it out. Programs like SkillBridge definitely, like I said, give you that soft landing, give that parachute to like really go and figure out what you want to do and get proficient at it, to where you're competitive for a good, good rate, salary, things like that. Before you have to cut that cord with the military. So I think it's an absolute phenomenal program.
Absolutely. All right. Now, you're a personal development nut, kind of like myself.
Oh, yes.
I'm curious if you've been reading anything good or if you've got any good personal development stuff that you've been dabbling in lately. You've always got, I know you're, oh man, I'm trying to think. Was it Think and Grow Rich? It was Think and Grow Rich, right? Absolutely. That you bought the super old school copy of?
Yeah, absolutely. It's right there. Right there. There it is. I have it still boxed up, so I'm afraid to take it out of the box. I have to get a case for it or something like that. Yeah, autographed 30 something copy. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool. It's gonna be worth something someday too.
I hope so.
I'm sure it already is.
Anyway, yeah, personal development. For me, a lot of it's been working on myself. So working on, obviously we're talking about personal development, Ryan Holiday. So I've been going back through, for my second time, going through the Ryan Holiday series, the Obstacles Away, Ego is the Enemy, and Stillness is the Key. So I've read them all once. I bought the box set again. So I did them Audible the first time, completely, transformed, my way of thinking and put words to feelings I've had that I wasn't able to explain. Or this, gave life to this perspective of this vision I've had, for myself and for my family. He's able to articulate those thoughts and those feelings. So that was really energizing, to know that, I had the right vision, but my tactics were a little off. So having Ryan Holiday act as those bumpers and like the little kid bowling that you can, when you get off course, you can kind of just redirect you, just keep going back to the words in those books, and absolutely transformational for me. So that's personal development wise. I'm going back and rereading those, and I have the Daily Stoic and all that. And just going through COVID and really assessing, like myself, this has been a big challenge for most families and most people. So definitely glad that I'm not hysterical like a lot of people that I've seen over the last 6 months. I'm like, okay, I have the mental and intestinal fortitude to still, like, I didn't get weak, right? Or like mentally weak, right? Over time, like I can still, stay calm, cool, and collected through the fray. So I'm glad, I still have that about me. But for me personally, going through COVID has definitely just been going back, kind of like back to the basic stuff and just getting back into the daily routine, that miracle morning, that really propelled me in the beginning, 10 years ago. And when I started doing those things, like the early morning journaling, the early morning meditating, the whole, was it scribes, thing, vision boarding and stuff like that. Over the last year, or so, I've been so busy, people tend to sacrifice, that personal development, that self-care first. Like that's always the first thing on the chopping block. Whenever people get task saturated, sleep, things like that. And so I've recognized that about myself is that I haven't been doing those things as religiously as I used to. And those were those behaviors back, 4 or 5 years ago that gave me the fuel and the right mindset to excel my business to begin with. So I recognize that, well, these were the behaviors that got me going. Why am I, I've noticed I haven't been doing them. So definitely trying to take a step back and re-implement those routines that, that got me going in the first place. So that's what I've been doing.
Yeah. And for those of you listening who might be thinking like, oh, COVID doesn't make that many people hysterical. Vince is in Hawaii. So if you don't know anything about Hawaii's restrictions, they made the rest of us look pretty mild, and they stayed closed a lot longer. And they've actually had some long-term effects. Actually, curious, I heard that they straight up banned short-term rentals like permanently. Am I mishearing things? I know you're not in the short-term space.
I'm not really in the Airbnb, but I know just by virtue of them stopping tourism.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, the last time we talked, I had that Turo company, right? I had those 5 cars on Turo, and I was crushing it at the beginning of 2020. And then, COVID hit, and I sat for a little while. I was like, oh, it'll blow over, V-shaped recovery, all this stuff. And I was like, it'll be gone by May. And it wasn't. And if you've ever been in Hawaii, you know that every 10 seconds a plane's landing, a 767's landing, full of tourists. And there's never been a shortage of tourists since it's the lifeblood of this economy. And there hasn't been any planes. Even now, like the sky's clear. There's no tourists here. So made the decision to sell those cards. Luckily, I got out clean, didn't lose any money on those cars. So I bought right. So I could sell right on those. But yeah, Airbnb I don't see how people are surviving with any kind of anything hospitality related is absolutely like butchered. There's things here like, native institutions are closing down, like Morimoto's in North Shore. Like I saw a post that like, they're closing down after 75 years. So it's like, yeah. So it's pretty bad here. And I don't know. I'm not a Hawaii economist, but I just don't see how they can shut off billions and billions of dollars of revenue and expect the economy to be fine.
Yeah.
Case in point, the railroad ran out of money, was insolvent, and they're doing a huli chicken sale the side of the road to pay for it. That's the brilliant idea. So I don't know if you want to cut that out or not, but I was like, this has to be a joke, right?
Oh no, I'm leaving that. That's awesome. I mean, the chicken, don't get me wrong, that chicken's delicious.
But that was the plan to save an insolvent multi-billion dollar project, was to sell chickens, barbecue chicken on the side of the road.
Which is a bummer. They need to finish that thing, because the moment that thing gets finished, any house on Eva Beach is going to be.
Yeah, I know. I said I need to sell my house in Kapolei.
Yeah, like. Yeah, that's right. I forgot you used to commute. So that's where I wanted to buy, was Eva Kapolei, before, I realized how long that commute was to K-Bay with traffic. And I was like, yeah, my wife's pregnant. That ain't happening.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's partially why you moved on to base, right?
Yes. The commute was, it was good for Audible, because it was like, 2 hours in the car every day, but it was soul crushing. So we chose to put a renter in that house and move on post on base for the last year or so I've in my career.
Yeah. So what's the future look like? What's Vince up to what is driving? Actually, you know what? I'll ask that later. I was going to ask you about what made you make this decision to exit, but we'll talk about that after.
So my vision, right? A huge vision, huge mindset. Like I said before, I'm trying to, always been one of those big, like, again, we talked about Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, huge fan of, E.T., Eric Thomas, and definitely absolutely 100% believe in, like law of attraction and having a vision and, the universe conspiring to make it happen for you. I've had too many coincidences in my, my life over the last 10 years to to not give some kind of credence to those type of things, those activities. So my vision right now is me flying my new plane. I'm going to upgrade my Warrior, but my new plane, probably Piper Turbo Saratoga, something like that, with my daughter in the co-pilot seat, rest of the family in the back, and we're flying to whatever, an island in the Bahamas for the weekend to hang out on a vacation rental for a week or two. So that is my vision that I have that pretty much drives me. And I think what most people do when they set goals and they set goals and they try to figure out how to achieve them, everything like that, they start in the wrong place. I always start in a place of that vision of what you want that ideal life to work, and then figure out what vehicle and what tools and habits you need to be, or what kind of person you need to grow into to make that vision a reality. And to me, thinking like that, approaching goals like that, has been straight up rocket fuel. For example, Piper Saratoga, the one I want, it's a $300,000 plane, not a cheap investment. Flying to the Bahamas requires certain, ratings that I don't have yet, pilot ratings I don't have yet. Getting a private, house for a couple weeks, probably not cheap, right? So all those things have price tags to them. And then, so I have this vision in my head, and it's a great vision, right? I actually have it on my vision board. And the exercise you do is go, okay, that's a great vision, very, very, grand. Now let's go to work and figure out how much that vision costs. So how much is a plane? How much is a life where we are traveling the world every, whatever couple months? How much is vacation rentals for a month in the Bahamas, Italy, wherever? You start pricing this thing out. How much is, like, I do things like how much, I want to eat, a mostly organic diet. So I'm like, okay, well, I don't know if anybody's been to Whole Foods lately, but trying to feed 5 people at Whole Foods is not cheap, right? That's a serious consideration. So you price that stuff out, and you're like, okay, well, in order to achieve this ideal life, I need whatever it is, $20,000 a month. Boom. Now I have a number, and I'm like, okay, how am I going to get $20,000 passive income? I need to find a vehicle to make that happen. And to me, multifamily real estate was the only vehicle that I could access at the time of my knowledge to make that vision happen. So now multifamily real estate, okay, how many doors do I need to have in order to have $20,000 in cash flow per month to have this ideal life, to have this vision? And usually, if you do the general rule of thumb, $100 a door, okay, I need 200 doors, right? Now that's achievable. That's something that people can bite on, and 200 doors will make that, it will make that happen. So that is what my focus is right now. That's the future of Vince, is getting to 200 doors as fast as possible, so I can have that freedom and achieve that vision that I want for my family.
What's up, guys? Today's sponsorship for this episode is going to be me talking about the hard money lender that I recommend the most. First and foremost, Tony is a service member and a house flipper, which is just totally rad. And secondly, and probably the most important, they have some incredible options out there. They're a national lender, and their minimum loan amount is only $75,000, which is less than a lot of hard money companies out there. They will loan up to 75% of the after repair value, depending on your credit, meaning that you only need to put down 10 or 20% of the purchase price, and they will finance the other 80 to 90%, and then they will finance 100% of the renovation costs, and it's interest only for the first year. Their rates go as low as 7.99% interest, and they even offer long-term financing and cash-out options. So they're really good. They're very quick. They have good customer service, and they'll quickly tell you yes or no, this works for you, this works for us, or they'll point you in the right direction. And the easiest way to get a hold of them is to go to FromMilitaryToMillionaire.com/hardmoneylender, or if you just go to the resources page, but I'll put a link down below. and just fill out that short form. I will personally introduce you to Tony so that you can get in touch and talk to them about financing options. This is a really high quality dude, and he's a member of our mastermind, and they're just good people, and their hard money products are solid. Happy to help connect you guys, and I hope I'd love to hear your success stories.
Love it. Love it. And I definitely agree with you on the vision thing. For those of you who've been listening for a little while, you know that I don't think I shared it in December, but in December I put up a vision board with a lot of things on it. And one of them was a conference. Like, in like 3 years, I want to host a real estate conference for military people. Well, that happened in May. So obviously it didn't happen in person in May, but it will next year, hopefully. And, there's definitely some things that, because people get so wrapped up in that's not possible. Well, not if you don't think it's possible. And like the goal isn't to sit around and say, oh, I'm going to be worth $1 billion and here's how. The goal is to sit around and say, like, this is exactly what I want to achieve, and just focus on that. And opportunities will show up that will help you get to that as long as your focus is there. I have a good question for you. After I ask, what made you we got to cover it, because I have been wrestling with this. You have been wrestling with this. This is not an easy decision. What was it that made you think exiting the military was the right option?
Ooh, so many layers to that.
I know. And I'm curious, I'm still in my head about it sometimes.
Yeah. So it's scary and I couldn't imagine, I'm pretty set as far as where we're at in our portfolio and our passive income flow. But it is still scary, even after knowing that I'm not going to be, homeless in 6 months, and everything in my business is going up. So I couldn't imagine if I didn't have that, how scary it would be. So different layers. One, I'm as we said earlier, I'm a senior NCO, and I absolutely love the Air Force, and I love what I do. I love being a senior NCO and being that leader and that mentor for younger airmen. Once I realized that my heart wasn't in it, I can almost pinpoint the day that, my heart's not in this anymore. I realize I'm just in the way. I'm just breathing air, and I'm not helping airmen, and I'm sitting in somebody's seat that deserves to be there more than me. The moment that happens. And so being conscious of that day where I can picture the day I put on the uniform and my shoulders just slumped over a little bit. And I was like, that's it. It's a feeling that you can't explain, but you just know your heart's not in this anymore. And then if you're honest with yourself, you realize that it's time for you to hang it up and get out of the way, because there's E6s in there in the Air Force, or Z5s that have the fire in them, and they have no problem filling your shoes. I know I'm not, my ego is not that big where I know that I'm the only one that can do this job, and the Air Force is a loss without me. I know that if I die tomorrow, the Air Force will be perfectly fine, and somebody will be cleaning out my desk and putting up their pictures of their family and their awards and all that stuff by the end of the week. So that was one layer, is that I'm not going to be a leader in the Air Force that their heart isn't in the game, because everybody around you will see that you're just hanging on for the pension. You're not going to be a leader at that point. You might be a manager. People might do stuff because you have the rank and you have the authority, but they're not going to follow you, right? They're not going to believe in you. They're not going to trust you. And I didn't want to be one of those senior NCOs. So that, is just, like I said, breathing, just filling a spot and breathing air, and, just trying to stay alive long enough to get the pension. I'm not doing a service to the Air Force and the airmen that, I mentor and I supervise. So that was one layer of it, was just getting out of the way, knowing when it's time and getting out of the way. Luckily, I have the financial independence to be able to make that choice, because a lot of people that hit that mark and they don't have any choice. So then they just, they're forced to stay in the military as long as possible, because that is their only option. They have nothing else going for them. And again, I don't want to be one of those people. So just getting out of the way. So people that still have the fire, can rank up and keep propelling their careers. I'm not holding anybody else back. That was one reason. Another reason is family. So my kids, so I've been very lucky. I've served in 2 special duties, almost back to back. I'm an aircraft maintainer by trade. So anybody know aircraft maintenance, pretty long hours, flight line, 12, 14-hour days are pretty routine. Lots of TDYs, deployments, things like that. Pretty much a grind and a lot of time away from family. My kids really don't know that life because I've been back to back special duties, and my 3 kids are still pretty little. At the end of next year, my special duty ends, and I would be, kind of forced to go back to that career field, which is the normal process of special duties. You just go back to whatever your primary career field is. And I don't think I could go back and put my family through that again. Like all of a sudden, dad's not around anymore. They don't have any stability. I'm doing the grind. I'm going TDY, deploying again. Cause I did most of that stuff before they were born. And then I said, I did the special duties, and now I'd go back to that. So it'd pretty much uproot their whole, stability at home. Don't really have warm and fuzzy feelings about that. Another reason, been dragging my family around for about the last 10 years or so around different bases. So no extended family. We don't have any grandparents, any cousins, anything, they don't know any of their family. A lot of people are getting older in our families, and time is running short with those people to have those experiences, have those memories, have their grandkids know their grandparents, things like that. And I'd be doing 5-10 more years away if I stayed in the military. So being able to go back, put roots down somewhere around where their family is, around where their cousins are, around where their grandparents are, so they can have that stability of of an extended family that we just haven't known yet in the last 15 years. So those are 2. Or was that 3 reasons?
Something like that. Some good reasons.
I can keep going. There's a lot of them. But those are the main ones that are really driving me. Other ones, when you have that entrepreneurial spirit or that spark, like once it gets you and it bites you and you get the venom in you, it's really hard to go back to a job where your potential, or not your potential, what's the word I'm trying to think of, but you're kind of capped on what you can, achieve in the military. It's very structured, as it should be, right? It's, this rank, this responsibility and stuff like that, and this compensation. But once you get the entrepreneurial spirit and you realize that, you can, if you have the potential and you have that ability to provide value, your compensation will be directly related to the amount of value you bring to the market, whatever market you're in. And it's essentially limitless, which is very not the military. The military it pays well. We have a ton of benefits, but it is capped. It's more of a staircase, right? You're going to go, you rank up a little bit, get extra pay, get a couple extra benefits, a couple extra perks, and sit there for a couple of years. And if you're lucky, maybe 3-4 years, you go to the next one. 3-4 years later, you go to the next one. So it's very structured, very regimented throughout somebody's career. And that works for a lot of people. But if you have that entrepreneurial spark, it's really hard to balance the 2 out. So,
yeah. And heaven forbid you start having good ideas about how to make things more efficient.
Yes.
You're like, oh, we could just do everything on a Google Drive. Oh no, that violates security rules. Yeah. Oh, we could just use Zoom, which translates to Calendly, which translates to we could set up all our meetings in such a way that they're all automated at the same time every day. And it's like, nope. All right. Well, we could continue using this piece of paper that we write meetings on. Bingo. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. That's definitely the best solution.
Yeah. So exactly. There's stuff like that where those creators, those innovators are. I will say the Air Force is pretty good at that, though. We do have a huge backing by our leaders to be innovative. More out of a need of survival than anything else, than just the drive to be innovative. It's like more coming from like, hey, your budgets are getting cut by 30%, but your mission's not. So you need to be innovative, start thinking creatively. But it's really, I will say in the last few years, it has been pretty amazing. The airmen that have come up with stuff, we're giving a lot of voices to airmen these days, to have their voices and their ideas heard. A lot of avenues, a lot of vehicles, like spark tanks and things like that. So that has been pretty exciting to see. Because when I was in E3 and I had all the fire and all the smart ideas, I was just told, like, shut up, like, pretty much daily. Like, grab your toolbox, stop asking questions, and go fix that plane, right? So it definitely in the last like 3 or 4 years has been pretty amazing to see the voice that airmen have now when it comes to innovative ideas, things like that, and the abilities and the avenues that they have, and the money and the resources they have just to vet out their ideas and see if they work. So I will say we got that going for us.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a big deal, man. A lot of cool things going. It's cool to see where we've gone in the last, 3 years.
Yeah.
I mean, we were both, a couple
hanging
doors.
out in a park in Kailua.
Yeah. Own a couple doors there.
Yeah.
That was about it.
Yeah. It's been pretty crazy. It's amazing.
It's cool. Both going to be exiting the military at about the same time. Kind of similar plans, different trajectories, different niches, different paths. But I think safe to say both achieve financial freedom in the military within
a very short amount of time.
Fairly
shorter than
yeah.
most people could ever, envision for themselves. So usually it's like the 20 years. If you're lucky, maybe by the time you're 60, you'll be good.
When did you buy your first property?
2010. I bought my first house, my single family house, used the VA when I got to Travis Air Force Base. So I bought my house in 2010 and flipped that in 2014. So I guess like my real estate investing
your first
started in
investing.
Yeah, it was like 20 my dates are all off here.
That's all good.
I bought the house in 2012, sold it in 2016. So 2016 and 2018. So that's when so 2016 was the time. So 4 years it took me. Like when I realized real estate is going to be the way to go, I'm putting everything in that basket. It was 2016. 4 years later, I'm at, by the end of the year, we'll be at 240 doors.
I
Tricity
closed on my first duplex on December 28th of 2015.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Yeah, I'm not at 200 doors, but I'm at enough.
Yeah. Yeah, it's more doors and more just an ego number. So
and it depends on the structure, right? Like one door owned on your own, depending on financing, could cash flow a lot more than an average door for a syndication for 10 units. But it scales. Like it's all totally lost in translation. It all varies so much. I'm a small ownership in a syndication, and per door, it makes me way less money, and it will make me way less money than per door I get on my little 10 unit. But in the grand scheme of things, per amount of money I put into it, it's going to do pretty dang well. So it's like, it's awesome. Man, you guys are doing some cool stuff. I'm really excited to see where you are a year from now, 2 years from now. And obviously, one of these days I'm going to bug you and come to the Bahamas, because you never let me go fly with you in Hawaii, because actually it wasn't your fault, but I'm going to blame you anyway. Because I don't think you actually got the license.
Yeah.
Like you were working on licensing and there were issues with an instructor or whatever, I think. Yeah. And you weren't able to get the license until like the month before I left the island. I was like,
it was a huge pain in the butt. But we got through it now. Yeah. So I got my private, I'm just working on my ratings, trying to get all my ratings before I leave.
Yeah, it's exciting, man. Cool. So I got a few questions I ask every guest, and I know you've answered them before, but I'm curious to hear as things have shifted over the years. The first one is like, if an E1, E2 was to come up to you just asking for advice on finances or life or whatever, what would be like, what's the one thing you wish someone had told you when you were 18?
Oh man, get new friends. That was, for me, I spent the first 2 years of the military. Is there a statute of limitations on what I said. I'm joking. Yeah. In the dorms, doing not so good things.
The typical things. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I joined right at 18. So it took me to about 21 to realize that the people I was hanging out with, or really almost 22, the people I was hanging out with were just a bunch of losers. Fun to hang out with, but their lives were going absolutely nowhere, and they were dragging me with them. They were the kind of people that like you get a cool idea, and they were like, that's stupid. Let's go drink. And it's like a Tuesday at 3, 3 p.m. They're like, let's go to the bar and just drink until they shut us down and go to work tomorrow. Right.
Yeah.
So that and when you're young, it's kind of fun. That's fun stuff. But definitely as you get older, you start seeing that like, wow, this is it. Like, this is all this group of people aspire to be and to go for. They have no goals, no aspirations to do anything more than this. Just exist for beer money and to get through the weekend and hopefully not be in the red by the end of the month. Because we already weren't getting paid a whole lot, back in early 2000s. So so get shedding that group. And for me, it was a forced shedding of the group by my commander. Because I was at the point where it was like, you got one foot out the door. You need to go do something else. And for that, they kind of, they told me to go to like honor guard. So I did base honor guard, and that was like my probation type thing at the time, which for them, it was not really a punishment, but it was like, we just need to get you out of this element that you're in and get you around, a different group of people. And if you've ever done base honor guard, you know what I'm talking about. It's one of the most rewarding things I've ever done in my career to this day, and was definitely the nudge I needed to step back, look at my life, give some perspective, and get around people that actually wanted to do things with their life, that had goals, that go to college or things like that, or go buy a house, and just literally anything other than partying, or just life outside the military. Like, I'm going to come here, going to get my degree, and then I'm going to go out and go be a doctor, commission, become an officer, things like that. So that would be the number one thing I would say is, if you're looking at, and I'm going to steal a quote from Nipsey Hussle, but it's like, if you're looking at, your group of friends and they're not, your circle of friends, right, and they're not pushing you to achieve your goals and to be a better version of yourself every day, then you don't really have a supportive group of friends. You have a cage. So something like that is what he is saying or said in that quote. And I thought that was very transformational. I have it on my vision board at work, but it was very, very important. So if you're looking at your group of friends and you have aspirations to do bigger and better things, and they're not, and they're trying to convince you those goals are stupid, or they're not achievable and all that stuff, what they're saying is really, I can't achieve those goals, and I don't want to see you succeed. So I'm going to convince you that those goals are stupid. That's usually what's getting transmitted when your friends try to tell you that whatever you're excited about, whatever you're passionate about is not a good idea. They usually have insecurities about themselves. So they're going to try to convince you that that's a stupid idea and that you really don't want that anyway. So that's what I've learned after, 10 years of being an adult. I'm 32 now. So one of the things that I've learned is definitely get around a better group of people that share your passions, that will motivate you, that will push you, hold you accountable if you say you're going to do something, because those people are going to excel at breakneck speeds, just not just in their careers, but just at life in general.
I like it. Yeah, that's good. It's very good. And it's definitely helped me a lot in life, getting rid of some of those knuckleheads for sure. Resources. What kind of resources would you recommend to anybody looking to get started in real estate or just personal development in general? I know obviously we talked about Think and Grow Rich, but you have any books, courses, websites, whatever that you would recommend?
So many. Let me think. I got a stack right here. I just took out of my bag. A bunch, and I'm getting to the point for professional development where I've read most of like the top 100 list. And you're realizing there's they're tools, and there's going to be a different tool for a different problem you have in your life at that moment. And with that, what I'm saying with that is like, you got to be honest with yourself, identify the problem you're having, and then go find a book or a resource that will solve that problem. And then also realize that you might have a similar problem where the same book or same resource can help you a different way years later. When you find a good book or find a good resources, it's not one of the things that, especially professional development, it never stops. It's an everyday thing. You might find something where you read a book and it was good when you're 20, and you go read that same book when you're 23, and you read that same book when you're 27. And each time you read it, you're pulling different things out of it. And just different aha moments that just like, wow, I didn't see that the first 3 times because I'm a different person than I was back then. So specifically, I already plugged the Ryan Holiday books. Man, if this, especially military people, this series here, especially The Ego is the Enemy, man, if you want to be an effective, NCO, and build effective teams, I think that's one of the best books I've read recently in the last few years. Also, what do I got here? Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
I'm literally rereading that right now.
Yeah, this is one that you're going to want to reread several times. I'm just going to go down I literally have a stack here because I just did a professional development seminar at work, and I just grabbed a bunch of books off my shelf. So Rich Dad's Cash Flow Quadrant. So this is the follow-up to, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Absolute vital to understanding, the way you should be going about your wealth creation. Cash Flow Quadrant is an awesome book there. Top 3 of all time, Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. This is one of those books where you have to reread it, once a year, once every other year. Absolutely. Every time you read this book, you just need the refresher. You're going to pull something new out of it every time. How to Win Friends and Influence People. What else I got? The One Thing. I'm sure you've plugged this a couple times. This book is absolutely awesome for being effective and efficient. What do we talk about here? We got The Miracle Morning. Talked about that. Hal Elrod's. This is like, there's no excuse. Like, those people that say you're not a book reader, this book is like 80 pages long. Yeah. You can so read short. This in like, we're right now, it's Sunday afternoon, 10 a.m. I could finish this by like dinner time. Yeah. If I wanted to.
And it's an easy read too.
Yeah. And I think there's like just one page. You can pretty much just sum it up. Just go to the scribes, checklist and like, oh, okay. So you can read it in like 2 minutes. What's another going on? So if you're talking about, understanding that most millionaires and financially independent people don't rely on one stream of income. That's a foundational truth that they live by is you need to have multiple streams of income, complementary if possible. So when we were talking earlier about being vertically integrated and have complementary businesses, most very successful people understand that, and they intentionally build those multiple streams of income. So if one gets cut off, they're still good to go. And you never want to get too tied to one stream of income. Like for us, the military, that's one stream of income. We don't want to just, because then I'll come back to that in a second. But the Honeybee is an absolute awesome read. This is actually by my mentors, Jake and Gino, wrote this book, and it's all about building those multiple streams of income to achieve FIRE, to achieve that financial independence. And if you do it intentionally and you focus and cut out all the clutter in your life, you can achieve it. So you can achieve that financial independence so quickly than you can even imagine. Like I said, I started 4 years ago, and most people in our life and our generations on like a 40-year retirement plan, and these people that I see do it, 5, 6, 8 years, and have a whole lifetime left to live on their terms, where they don't have to punch a clock, because they were intentional and focused, laser focused for just a short amount of time, were able to, pretty much save their entire lives, from having to punch a clock. Man, more Richest Man in Babylon. Do you plug that one yet? It's a great, again, easy read. Nothing too crazy, but it's good. Just a good reminder of getting you in the right mindset. I will say that if you have problems with spending money, the first half of this book is really good. I pretty much disagree with almost everything Dave Ramsey says about investing.
He's great from getting you from negative to zero. When
it comes to budgeting, if you lack the discipline, or just don't know how to budget, or have debt, his stuff is really, really good, on that. I can just keep going. Just 4-hour work week.
I feel like we covered a lot, but 4-hour work week is a good one. I see Traction back there. You've got some good books up on your shelf.
Yeah.
Obviously,
never stop learning. That's the thing. Never stop learning. Never stop reading. And then always understand that if you have a good book, go revisit it a couple of years. You're gonna find something different at it. Books and all those things are just tools, and use them to solve problems. And you might have the same problem or a similar problem different years later. Pick the book up, reread it again. You're going to find something new to help solve your problem.
I agree. Yeah, that's awesome. In fact, it's funny because a lot of these books that you mentioned are books that I read when I first started getting into, personal development. And I've been doing a lot of cycling. I'm training for like this Ironman or whatever. And so I have what I'll do is it's kind of hard to hear every word if I'm going too fast on the bike. So I don't want to listen to a new book. So I'm just listening to old books that I would need to read again. And in the last month, I reread Richest Man in Babylon, Miracle Morning, How to Win Friends and Influence People, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. So it's just funny because it's like a lot of these books are like, oh yeah, I literally just finished reading that again for the second or third, or I read Rich Dad Poor Dad for like the 7th time. Definitely worth revisiting some of these books for sure. Where can people get a hold of you if they want to reach out, Vince? I know you got a active multifamily Facebook group now, but is that the best spot? Where should people reach out?
Yeah, it's pretty good. The Honolulu Multifamily and More Facebook group. That's mainly about multifamily investing. That's a good group on Facebook. We have our website, tricityequity.com. Is a good spot. If you want to hit our main page, it's going to, or main email, it's going to be connect@tricityequity.com. Or you can just email me. I still use my Villanautics, Vincent@villanautics.com, VILLANAUTICS.com. We got a cool commercial on there too, promo video. You should watch that.
On the
Tricity Equity.
Yeah,
we had a guy out here do some footage for us. It was a pretty fun little project.
I'll have to go check that out. It'd be cool.
It was pretty cool.
I'm excited about what's happening. We're gonna have to stay in touch as we go through the SkillBridge thing, and we'll have to find some way to collaborate on some videos or something where we walk through because we have hopefully the exact same timeline. It sounds like our EAS mine's October 10th. They're fairly close.
Yeah, mine. If everything goes aligned, I'll be mid-November next year. So
so we should be rolling out around the same time. So pretty cool. Excited to see how that works out for you and for me. It's always a pleasure, man. Thanks for joining me again today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for listening to another episode about my journey from military to millionaire. If you liked it, be sure to visit FromMilitaryToMillionaire.com/podcast to subscribe to future podcasts. While you're there, we'd love for you to rate the show, give us a review on iTunes. Now get out there and take action.